This is John Genet from ByoNetics. Today is the 3rd of May, 2014, on a Saturday here in the Florida Keys. I'm going to talk about hyperactivity. It's a big deal in boys, and I wanted to address it in this video. Hyperactivity is brought about by the inability of the brain to ground to its physical body. Right? How does the brain lose its ability to ground to the physical body? Because of the chemical reactions in the vaccines join with the chemicals in the brain and become toxic. These toxic chemicals move through the neural pathway. They invade what has been identified as developmental switches. They're crystalline structures in the neural pathway, very much like the fiber optics used in telephone communications, to make this connection between the brain computer, which is the processor of information, and its mental, physical, emotional, and speech softwares. When these chemicals invade these crystalline structures, they melt them down to the point where they're too short to touch the brainwave frequency flowing over the top of them, so they can't connect to the proper software like speech, behavior, stuff like that. Right? And in doing so, they turn themselves off. When they turn themselves off, the brain also loses its ability to ground to the physical body, right? And when you can't ground to the physical body, you develop hyperactivity because the body absorbs energy, right? It absorbs it through electromagnetic energy that comes off of flat screen TVs, computer screens, microwave ovens, fluorescent lighting, cell phone transmissions, outside power lines traveling through time and space in a plane, a train, or a car. And if you cannot ground to your physical body, this energy builds up inside the body, right? And it cannot release itself other than hyperactivity, right? Spinning in circles. The child is trying to release this energy because it's built up so badly. Stimming, continual movement. A lot of times it's with the arms moving up and down, the legs moving, stuff like that. That's because the child is trying to dissipate, trying to release this electromagnetic energy that's built in their body. If they were grounded to their physical body, that energy would flow through their body, out through their feet, and into the ground. That's why it's called grounding. Our houses are grounded so the energy can go to the ground. Our cars are grounded so they can go to the ground. Any type of electrical devices have a grounding so that energy can be used to keep the light on or to keep the function moving because it completes the circle. So grounding is very important to the individual. The grounding can disrupt lack of grounding can disrupt mental focus. It can disconnect the child from emotional balance and contact. It can create the sensitivity in the inner ear to loud sounds. The inner ear begins to experience pain from the vibration of loud sounds. Why? Because the energy of the sound cannot move through the body, out through the feet, to the ground. It builds up, right? Tactile issues relates to clothing. The energy inside the body is so tight, so filled with its presence that if you put on clothing, it irritates the skins on the outside. Why? Because the energy has not been able to move through the feet into the ground and release this energy, right? Tactile issues as it relates to clothing or to food. Food. A lot of, like whenever I was growing up, there were certain foods that I didn't like to eat because I didn't like the sensation inside my mouth as I was moving the food in the inside of my mouth. It just drove me crazy. So I didn't eat the food. I didn't like it because of that. It wasn't because of the taste. It was because of the feeling of the food itself. Like a great example would be oysters. I can't eat oysters because I don't like something slimy and I don't know, organ-like in in my mouth. It's those type of things. But once I established grounding, then no longer was I hyper. I could mentally focus on physical tasks. I developed emotional contact. No longer did loud sounds affect me negatively because that sound energy was now moving through my body and out through my feet. The sensory issues relates to clothing or food, more for food for me than anything else. I got over some of that. I still can't eat oysters. Sorry. But I got over a lot of it. I got over a lot of it. So grounding that child through the physical body is very important. We provide that grounding by creating specific brainwave frequencies that the brain uses to establish this grounding and to repair these damaged developmental switches. Right? There's 7 main developmental switches that connect the brain computer to the software and establish this grounding. Right? There are specific brainwave frequencies that repair each of those 7 developmental switches and establish this grounding. It's the first thing that happens is this grounding, right? It's the most important thing to happen because when you're grounded to your physical body, you can benefit from your therapies, you can receive your education, you can develop relationships, and you eventually can become successful in society. That's through the ability to ground to the physical body. Right? Labels like ADHD, those things that the medical profession has created to identify the different levels of grounding are really the symptoms of autism. Right? So we need to get past the labeling part and get into establishing this grounding so the child can function in a proper reality. Right? If you need to talk about this more, please give me a call, 1-800-280-2802. I live in the Florida Keys. That's where my company ByoNetics is residing. But please give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.